Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be. I am your humble host, Mr. David Null, also known, aka as Hawkeye Two Feathers. And I greet you this evening or this morning, as the case may be, wherever you may be, um, that you are doing well. And I continue to pray that each and every day, each and every one of you will accept and receive the healings, the knowledge, and the wisdom of the universe. Now, this particular subject this evening, and I want to preface this right away with this simple statement. There are many different ways to spirituality, okay? And each one of us has to follow our soul path and gather the information. I don't want to say it's not that it's necessary, that's part of the reason for having this conversation. There are a lot of folks who are wrapped up in a religion. And I did a video recently about religion versus spirituality. So you gain your spirituality through yourself. It's not about the religion, it's about what you can glean from that religion. But there are so many people, hey Michelle, there are so many people who become wrapped up in the process of it that they miss the spirituality, just like it's in the room and they don't even know it's there. So keep it simple, silly. I don't like the idea of stupid. It's not that we're stupid, but we're silly about some of the things that we do. And so one of the things that we do, we feel like we have to have an inordinate amount of information. In other words, the more books we read, the more knowledge we'll gain. But let me be, and I've done this, I've got books all over this place. And the more I read, because they're written by people who have an opinion, therefore you're reading this person's opinion, okay? And it's not necessarily every time out is it factual. Now I've got the Bhagavad Gita upstairs. I've got, books on Buddha and Zen and 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 Bibles and all kinds of different things to reference, but not one of them made me spiritual. Not one of them helped me gain that feeling from the universe. They were just words. And so there are so many folks who are wrapped up in the process of becoming spiritual. I was one of them, and I still realize there are sometimes I'm going, well, is that really necessary? And what I mean is that back when I first started my shaman training, everything had to be a ceremony. Everything had to have a fire. Everything had to have a this, and it had to have that. And you had to have a crystal, and you had to have a blessing, and you had to have a. And by the time you got through with all that, now there are some times, I must admit, those things are necessary. But in the long and the short of it, going through all of the procedures of the ceremony did not help me to achieve spiritual enlightenment. Okay. In the doing of the ceremony, there is a lot of focus. So if you prepare correctly for a ceremony, sometimes it takes 2 or 3 days before you ever do a ceremony. That might only last an hour or 2, or maybe 3 at most. And so you've done all this prep. So what you're doing is you're getting your mindset of what you're going to do when. So I'm going to do a full moon ceremony. I'm going to do this, and I'm going to bless the ground, and I'm going to do this, blah, blah. You've got all these things for preparation. But in everyday life, everything doesn't need to be so complicated. And I realized this myself because I got to have my medicine bag, and I got to have this, and I got to have that. And if I don't have all these things, then somehow I'm less of a spiritual being. Not true. Well, if I don't have my special crystal, what's going to happen? Nothing. most of the time. But so I took so much stock in the items, the articles of what could help me to maintain, achieve a higher frequency, stay there, you know. And I had all these props, okay? When the bottom line is that what we need to do is keep it simple, silly. We're always connected to the universe. Every single minute we are connected to the universe. We're not disconnected. When we pass this life and then out of this 3D and move into the spirit realm, we're just leaving this body behind. We're not really changing. We're altering ourselves and going back to who we were. So if you realize, number one, that first I am a spiritual being. Above all other things, I am spiritual. I am full of the spirit all the time. So that means, guess what? You're connected. And you're connected at all times. You don't require to have, well, I better light some sage. No, no, don't get me wrong. I got some sage right here. In fact, I think I'll light some. But the idea, though, that if I don't light sage, something evil, bad, and wicked, mean, and bad and nasty is going to come. Now, in the past, I believed that. But I light this sage in honor of our dear friend Brian, and for all of those who have passed, and for all of those who are still on the path to learning what it is to be more spiritual or to understand it. Now, there are lots of things in nature and in humankind. We have overcomplicated some of the simplest things. One of my biggest pet peeves is, you know, there's all this manure on this planet, and we don't use it hardly to derive energy from it. You know, we pack it, we do it, you know. And to me, the Chinese knew how to use some of this stuff centuries ago. And you know, some of the rural communities use their own poo to light the local fire pit that feeds the whole village. I've known about that since the 70s. Anyway, it's one of my pet peeves, as y'all probably know. But the idea that we keep making things more complicated. We can't take what nature's already given us. No, we got to make nuclear power, and we got to do this, and we got to do that. We've got to have all these complicated things and all to make our life easier. Well, if you've gone camping and lived without certain facilities, you know, I'm sorry, pooing in the woods as an old person is just not my cup of tea anymore. I got to have a toilet. It ain't got to be special. It ain't got to be all that, but going behind a bush and having to do your business is okay. I got to say that we're doing better now with certain technologies, porta-johns and whatever, but we still poo and we still have to get rid of it. But anyway. Get a really good smudging going on here. So there are times when sage seems necessary. There are times when certain crystals seem necessary for your meditation or something like that. But I got caught up in that I can't meditate unless I have a crystal. And that's just nonsense. Now, I have crystals that help me to meditate or to help me to do things, and I'm surrounded by crystals. I got one, you know, here's one sitting here. There's 5 right here in this area. There's a huge one right down here by my chair. So I'm not away from my crystals. But the belief that I had at one time that they were necessary for my spiritual development. They were necessary in order to help me to find spirit. They were and I find out that they're not necessary. They're helpful tools. I mean, I can still go out and work in the yard, and if I got an old rake or something, I can still sweep up. There's ways around things. But in the bottom line is too many people are caught up in the actions of becoming spiritual, when what they have to do is first realize they already are. So you want to awaken those things within you. Now, so many people, and I have studied the chakra system and all that kind of stuff, and I found that for me, I spent so much time worrying about whether or not this chakra was working right, and whether that one was doing, and whether or not I'd achieved this, that I was so worried about the process and whether or not I had achieved it, that I realized that, wait a minute, whether I've got the chakra open or not, and it's the pineal or it's this one or that one, that it doesn't matter. What am I getting out of the universe? What am I getting spiritually? I was getting caught up in worrying about whether or not I could achieve it. So the keep it simple, silly, is that it's study it, understand it. Understand that science says that every 7 years we regenerate everything in our bodies. And I have a tendency to agree with that. And the law of seven, blah, 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 that kind of stuff. But the idea, though, that everything in our body regenerates, unless we have a cancer, which eats up those good things. But for most of us, when I had my leg broken, when I had my neck operated on all 3 times, and all the stuff in between, I physically thought to myself, Bob the Builder, I've got this team of builders that are part of my system, whether they're little, corpuscles or blood cell, whatever it is. I sent in Bob the Builder and his team of folks to go fix whatever was wrong. So in that, I've got this little mental image of these folks going in with bulldozers or whatever it is to fix the problem. Now, for me, it was bone repair. So, I envisioned them guys in there spackling, stuff over the cracks and mending my bones. Now, I know that sounds silly, but if we visualize the repair, regardless of how it gets done, whether it's Bob the Builder inside us or whatever, we're sending energy to whatever needs to be done. So now I've been practicing this since a long time, 30, 40 years. And so whenever there's an ailment, I always send in my team, So in that, visualization for me is very important. But of all the things we can understand in keeping it simple, is that a lot of times it's nothing more than a visualization. Now, some would call it a hologram and the matrix. Well, listen, there is a matrix. There is the universal matrix that connects all things. And then there's the artificial matrix. Don't get them confused. They do have a tendency to cross a few lines here and there. But don't get caught up in this matrix thing, please. We're in a matrix. Of course we are. The whole universe is made up of a matrix. But now there is an artificial construct. One would say that this 19 stuff that's going around, that's part of a hologram. That it's there, but is it as bad? That's a construct in my personal understanding and belief of it. Not that it doesn't exist, but the construct of how bad and we're all this, that's what I mean by the construct. Yes, something exists, but in overstating it, in pushing our fears, in pushing our energies, especially the fear and the chaos within us all. Well, I mean, you wake up tomorrow and you ain't got a clue, because there's so many changes and this and that going on. We don't really know, what we're going to be afraid of tomorrow, quite frankly. Well, are they going to shut down the stores? Are they going to do this? I mean, we had a run on toilet paper. And I made a joke way before the toilet paper went missing. I said, that's one thing we shouldn't have to worry about. 2 weeks later, there was no toilet paper. And I was like, what the F? what? The things, because I know there are paper mills around here in Georgia. We'll never run out of toilet paper. Who's going to? And we did. Holy crap, right? to be punny, right? Let me say hi to everybody here in the thing. Slightly Slanted Slew, Teresa, as always. Michelle, Project Skyfalls. Let's see, Slightly Slanted, Project Skyfalls. Oh, Max Vision. Hi, Max. How are you? Gerald Yates. Hi, and blessings to you all. Slightly, okay, I think I got it. If I missed somebody, I know Delaney was in earlier, if you're hanging out. And blessings to anybody that I may have missed in the chat. And you don't have to get in the chat, but blessings to y'all who listen and pay attention. But the biggest thing of this is that it's not that you shouldn't study these things. I want to reiterate that. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that you can become. Here's the story, and I've told this before. It's about Siddhartha. And Siddhartha was supposedly had become the Buddha, but I didn't know that. Siddhartha by Hermann Hesse. It's a book. I've read it years ago, and I keep referring to it. Siddhartha and his, like, the neighbor that they grew up, him and his buddy, right? They early on in India over there, they decide that, you know, there are some monks come into their village and they're talking about higher realms and this and that, and they follow this group and become a part of this group, and they fast and they cut their hair, they do all the stuff that they're supposed to do. Well, as they go along, they meet another group. Well, him and his buddy are like at odds, because Siddhartha's like not feeling it, and the other guy's, well, there's got to be something here. All these people are doing this. So Siddhartha sees his other group and says, well, I'm going to follow these folks for a while, and they part ways. And Siddhartha goes along with this group, and he's not feeling anything spiritual. And one day he gives it all up. He just says, screw it. And he goes into town and he gets a job. And he takes a job as working in a warehouse or for a merchant. And he becomes so good at what he does, the merchant was so thankful that he made him a manager. And from that, the old man died, and he ended up with the business. And so he went from being a pauper, walking around and, with his head shaved and everything, trying to understand the meaning of life. And he became a merchant. He became wealthy. He had houses. He had women. He had stuff. And one day he woke up after many years of living the high life. He just woke up one morning and walked out. He just said, this ain't for me either. And he got up and walked out and hit the road. And he found this group of monks who were, had shaved their head or whatever, and fasting and working and doing. And he wasn't getting anything out of them either. And so he comes upon a ferry, a ferryman. Back in the day, they still have them in outback places. It's basically a raft with a rope that goes across. And the ferryman, he comes, depending on what side of the river, he brings the ferry over, and people load up and across the way, and the ferryman. Well, Siddhartha meets this guy who's silent, but the ferryman's got like this glow about him, right? And so Siddhartha's like, what's with this dude? And he's asking him questions during the thing, going across, and the ferryman's like, who do you study? Do you study this monk? No. Do you study that? No. No. Well, you seem to be so at ease and everything, right? And so the long and the short of it is, when I get to the other side, Siddhartha asked the ferryman, he says, may I stay with you and learn from you? And the ferryman's like, I'm just a ferryman. I live here beside the river, and my job is to bring people back and forth safely. And this is, but you're happy. And he's questioning. So he stays with the ferryman and stays with him and becomes his apprentice, which used to mean something back in the day. But as his apprentice, he asked him questions, and he was like, well, the river, life is like a river. You've heard these things before. But he says, old things go down the river and new things come, and we can, and in native traditions, the river is very important in that you take what you want to give away and you throw it into the river with a blessing and an offering, like some cornstarch or something like that, cornmeal. And the next other thing that you do, then you get rid of what you want, and then you ask and throw upstream a gift, so tobacco, or something like that, in that you wish for something good to take place of what you, the bad, right? Okay, so, but in that, and now that's some Native American traditions, but it is a tradition because of the way the river flows. It's just an understanding, right? It's a natural thing. But anyway, so, but there's much to be learned about it. There's the flow has energy, there's electrons, the planet is breathing. There's just so much more than it's just a river and water going by. But what Siddhartha learned was that all these words and all this other stuff was that the ferryman just sat and watched the river, and the river taught him. And so Siddhartha listened with the man and learned from the river. And that the questions that he asked, somehow the river answered him. So years later, the ferryman is dead, and Siddhartha has taken the place. He's now the ferryman. And so he goes across the river, and there's this group of monks, right? Well, he notices his friend. His friend doesn't recognize Siddhartha. And so he strikes up a conversation, and the guy's like, wow, you're Siddhartha? You don't look anything like, and your countenance, and you're glowing, and your spirit, and where'd you get this? And he said, from the river. Well, do you study Confucius? Do you study? And he said, no, I study the river. And the river has taught me these things. Well, how did you become so calm? And Siddhartha can just only repeat the same thing. It's the river, it's the nature, it's the thing. It's the being quiet and listening to the simple things that are around us all the time. And so his friend couldn't understand it and went on his way. I can't remember how the book ends, but to the point though, and this is an old story, but in the long run, it makes so much sense because I got a river in my backyard when it flows, and I'm a water person in that respect. So, and I've learned so many things just by being on or near the water and being connected to that source and information from the universe and seeing the great beyond. And in my earlier videos that I was able to share pictures. I still don't know how to do it now with this new YouTube thing. But anyway, pictures of orbs and spirits in the smoke and stuff. And, I'm beside the river. And I'm over to the Flint River. I've taken pictures and showed many of them on some of my older videos that are still out there. I guess I didn't take them down. But it shows ferries and things and stuff that are, just there, And every time I go to these places, I take my drum and my flute and I give honor and homage to those spirits that already inhabit the place. Now, years ago, I didn't do that. I was afraid to go because there's all these, I took pictures of all these orbs and all these spirits, right? But the thing is that they're always around us. And I don't know, about a year or so ago, I'm doing a video and orbs just came right by and floated across the screen, live and in color during a live stream, And most of you saw it. I even took a clip of it, I think, and put it back out there. But the idea, we're surrounded by this other realm. We should not fear it. We should embrace the fact that it's there. Now, to the point, there's some nasty critters all over this place. And I mean the universe. I don't mean just here on Earth. But because of the chaos and some of the dark magic that's being manipulated and used, and has been for a while now, but there's been an uptick of some of this bad magic, I'll just say, in that they're trying to control things that folks just got no business trying to be control over. It just, I'm sorry. But those of us who are born with an A-type personality, where we're always got to have a better this, and I don't know, maybe it's a B-type, but I say A-type because most of them are a-holes, but that's my point of view. But in that, though, these A-type personalities are always trying to get ahead, and they will literally push you aside. To hell with you. No, it's me, 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 me. And with that said, well, I'm sorry, I'm not that kind of person, have never been that kind of person. So, and I don't understand people who are like that, because I don't know what drives them. Why would you push friends out of the way and make enemies along the way just so you can get ahead? And I've noticed that some of these people aren't any better off now than I am. I'm actually better off now, because they had something and now it was all taken away. And I didn't aspire to have anything great. I got my house, I got my land. That's what meant, that was my life's journey, was to have a place to live for me and my family and anybody that needed a place to stay. That was my goal. And here I am. Now, my well pumps some mud out, and I don't have the new well dug yet. And, the house leaks and pretty much ruined that other computer. And, the tin's been on the house now for 30 years and things need replaced. And okay, but that's life, right? I can't really jump up and down and bitch about it. It's lasted all this time, been through 2 tornadoes. So, but, don't sweat the small stuff. I'll have to move the computer, make sure there's no computer in a rainstorm. But anyway, in understanding that the spirit world is all around us, and I mentioned last night in that long 3-hour video that a lot of you hung out with me for, and bless you for that. Great hanging out with you folk. But in Revelations, about when the angel comes before John, John gets on his knees and the angel says, "Get up, you are as I am. We're brothers." So for Christians, they read the whole Bible and miss the last 2 chapters, and what seems to be really important, in that we are all angels. We are made in the image and likeness of God. Now there's that discussion, what's God? Well, God to me is the spirit of the entire universe. It's the collection. We're all a part of the collection. It's like a great big glowing sphere of stuff, and we're all a part of it. We're all made of these cosmic microns, and it's our soul. It's who we are, and it's what we do with our lives that makes purpose in the future. So, and this thing about karma, I was a big karma fan. Oh God, I'm working out old karma. Oh God, I'm working out old karma. What I was doing was working out karma from this life, because I was making crappy choices. And so it wasn't past lives, it was this one. And I have, we got to take a step back. Now, can we have to pay back? No, I realized there were things in my past that I should not repeat. But to make up for it's already done. So, but I can use my energy to move forward. But so there are so many people who are caught up in the karma kick. Okay. I was one of them for many, 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 many years. And I still think that what we do or don't do has a karmic type of effect. But should we, like, oh my God, I was one. Oh my God, the karma. Oh my God, the karma. And I couldn't see the forest for the trees. I couldn't see spirit that's literally all around me, because I had karma on the brain. I had chakras on the brain. I had crystals and all these magic things on the brain, that if I didn't do this and that and this and that, I wouldn't be able to see the spirit. And I was and too many people are like this. I got to say, it's not that you put them down, but if you're relying all the time on the same thing, you may have a problem, in that it may not be the crystal. It may be you, and you may be using a crutch, because when the time comes to make the pass, whatever crystal or whatever I have on me ain't going to make a damn bit of difference. You hear me? Ain't going to make a damn bit of difference. Whether or not I have saged myself that day, or whether or not now, whether or not I've said my prayers, though, that's a different thing. But I'm always praying. But with that said, it's all these other things are just things. We find them, they can be useful. I got to reiterate, I'm not trying to poo poo other stuff, but it's the reliance upon them that it's the crystal that connects you. It may help you to connect, but once you make the connection, is what I have found is that, wait a minute, the crystal did help me, but I don't need the crystal's help anymore, because once you realize you hit that spot, you really don't have to have the crystal. The crystal could be on the other side of the planet. And because I've accessed the crystal, I'm kind of still am. So I don't have to carry every one of them with me. Now, there are times when I'm toting 20 crystals. When I go to the river or something, I take a collection. Of course, I soak them in the water and do a little bit of saging and help them get clear and all. But the idea, though, that at one time I was so strongly in the belief that if I did not have them, I would be under attack at all times. When I finally realized, and through the help of a friend of mine, she said, why do you go through all that stuff every time? Can't you just be connected? And I was like, well, now to the point, I really stopped and thought about that for quite some time. And I thought to myself, self, there are those times when full ceremonies are necessary, but not every time. And lighting sage just helps clear the mind. And if there are any woolly boogers around, well, maybe they'd go away. But the bottom line is that it has to do with my intent. Am I safe within my own spirit? Am I comfortable with who I am? I want to do better, but I'm comfortable with where I'm at right now. Yes, I can do better. And yes, I achieve. Yeah, okay. But I mean, up to this point, we must give ourselves credit for the fact that we're here now. And whatever spiritual level you have reached, be thankful. Don't go, well, I want to be better. And well, okay. But there are some folks who just don't give themselves enough credit. And there's a lady out there, you may know who I'm talking to, that is in tune with nature and rocks and stuff, but doesn't have enough faith to believe that there's these other things. Already have the capability, but not enough faith in yourself to say, well, wait a minute, maybe I've already got some of this stuff. Maybe I'm already a part of it. And that's part of the deal. We want to overthink it and overthink it and overthink it, when sometimes we just need to be like Siddhartha and the ferryman and sit still and watch the river go by. And it's the river of life. It's the river of the universe. It's the river, it's not just the water, but it's the blood that flows in our veins. It's the river. It's the river of our spiritual path, whatever that is. I like floating. It's easier than walking and a lot less difficult. But there's something about the water and the element of it, right? So, but anyway, but in keeping it simple, understand that learning all the things about the chakra and the karma and this and that, that's all well and good. But if you think that any one of those things is going to get you spiritual enlightenment, forget it. Because it's the combination of the whole. And when you understand that you are a spirit already, it's that you have to understand how to be the spirit in this flesh bag that we're in. How can I be spiritual? Well, we have to drop the shell. We have to understand that we can kind of walk out of ourselves and go over here if we want to. But do we understand or feel that we have, quote, the power? Well, I got to get my crystals and I got to do sage and I got to call upon all the stuff, the spirits in the universe, because I can't do this on my own. Well, when we die, we do. Well, wait a minute. Did anybody help us along? No, this body died and we're there. Now, that's a little brutal, but it's the truth. And let's just stick to the basic truth. There's something flying around back here. I don't, maybe it's a moth. It looks weird. Anyway, let's all say thank you, Bob, and have some coffee. And let me take a rest. Gerald, how are you? Slightly slanted. Fox, Dan, I see you. I see y'all out there in the chat. Blessings, everybody. There are sometimes when let me back up. There are times in life when you just have to, like, I'm going to tell this little story as I normally do. One day I was just like, I want to go to the library. Now, this has been a few years back, but I want to go to the library. Why? I don't know. Just want to go to the library, see if I can check out a book. Don't even know. And I was studying Samuel Clemens at the time, Mark Twain, and in reading some of his other stuff that aren't so popular, but that are funnier than the Dickens. And I was thinking that in my old age, I would do some Mark Twain kind of readings anyway. So, but I was there in the library, and I was drawn there, and something just said, go down this aisle, right? So I do, right? And I pick out this book in whatever section it was, and I flip a few pages, and I go, well, this is interesting as crap. This is all about a something. And I never would have went there. Now, so I checked the book out and brought it home and read through it, and it was enlightening in that it was about something I had never really pondered before. Something about physics and quantum way back before they started with this quantum computing and everything. I mean, this is like in the 90s kind of thing. So I'm reading this book and I take it back and everything, of course it was late and I had to pay the late fee. But the idea is that had I not just went to the library, and I probably could have found stuff about Samuel Clemens online and whatever, but I wanted the book. I wanted to be able to flip the pages, And so, but you follow your heart, you follow your instincts. And I was led to the library for a different reason. And it opened my mind to the quantum that I've been interested in for quite some time. Anybody who's ever really tripped a long time or a lot or whatever, you seem to understand that there's this other realm that we're a part of all the time. And so when you trip, you're still in this body, but you ain't here. You know what I mean? And so understanding that, and I've tripped over 500 times. I mean, that's like a really low level. I mean, I was all the time tripping. Mushrooms, peyote, acid, you name it. But the idea, though, that so my perspective of reality and the other realms and so forth, in a way, is sort of clouded by all my mushrooms and all that kind of stuff. Is it clouded, or is that it's open? And you can't close it. Even though I'm not tripping, I still understand these other realms. I can kind of bring those memories back. And some people say, well, you take LSD, you're gonna have relapses and bad trips and stuff like that. I had bad trips when I was on it, but I've never had a flashback or whatever. Not in the sense that I've seen some things folks might call flashbacks. But what if you take, let's just stick with mushrooms. You take a hallucinogen that opens that part of your brain. So even though the drug leaves you, your brain knows and will remember, even though it may go into a subconscious, it will remember where you were in that realm. It will remember that you were present in this other realm while you were still in this one, if that makes sense. Now, I'm not trying to sit here and say, I'll go out and take a ayahuasca and all this other stuff but to the point, though, in my life and all of these religious experiences, because there are a lot of times that I took mushrooms with the intent to have a religious experience, not just to get high, but to go to the river and to camp and to sit by the and let spirit talk to me. And oh my goodness, the conversations, right? And had I listened way back then I'm sort of like Siddhartha. I was in a place and then went to work for the man, and I became an engineer, and I worked for the company, and for 7 years I did this thing and became this person. Now I still kept my spiritualness, and I learned a lot while I was in the system, if you will. But I realized that I wanted back out of that system too. I wasn't like, well, I'm going to become this and become a part of the, the matrix, the jobs and the thing and all, and forget the rest. Nah. Well, then, then the economy took a dive, and I was the second person in Georgia to get extra benefits due to George Bush. Is the only thing he did nice, because we all lost our jobs at NAFTA. But anyway, so I was right there on the front line with all that stuff. But then, since then, I have this sense of, well, I'm a good engineer. I'm good at AutoCAD. I'm really good. I've taught people AutoCAD who have better jobs than I do. But because of my felony stuff, and I could never become a quote full-fledged, um, they wouldn't hire me. So I had to stay under the wire in that. But in all that knowledge and everything, what I learned is that I was still the core person. I was still, well, at the time I was David, but I realized that Hawkeye was coming out. And so I lost my job and lost the benefits and lost, $1,500 a month, income, take home, and got back to having literally nothing. Sometimes I only made $50 an entire month, and I was living on scraps and going in behind stores and eating out of dumpsters and things, and talk about living off of charity. But the idea, though, that so I have been up there, not grandiose, but for me it was grandiose. To make 40 grand a year is a lot of money for me down here. But to other people, it was like, you only, I make 85, yeah, well, you make over twice as much as I do. And when they lost out, oh boy, did those folks lose out. They went up on a high, and I'm all this and that. And now they're down here, on the unemployment line with me, looking where they're going to get a free meal. So what does it all matter in the long run? You can attain all of this stuff and never be able to see heaven or God or experience the other side, because everything is focused on the act. So, well, for example, and I was one of these people, oh, I'm going to do penance. Let me self-flagellate. I'll beat myself, and, I'm going to suffer and bleed because of Jesus on the cross and all this. And I should do this penance for my sins. And oh man, that's just feeding the chaos. Why would you want to give pain, suffering? Aren't we suffering enough just by being in this meat sack? So the thing about, we are forgiven if we ask the universe, I am sorry for my past deeds. I truly am sorry for my past deeds. If I have offended anyone in the past, I am sorry. Please forgive me. Give me the energy and the strength to do better tomorrow and the next day and in the future. Do I need to talk to God? I just did. Do I need to kneel down and say a bunch of prayers and light some incense and get all the candles out to do it? No. It's our intent. It's what's in here. The intent of the universe. So your spiritualness, what is your intent? So and we as humans have a tendency to grade everything. Well, because you're in school, first grade, seventh grade, 10th grade. Did you graduate high school? How much college did you get? You know what I mean? So we as humans are programmed in that. We must gauge ourselves. So we're all the time looking at, well, is my pineal gland open? Is my heart chakra open? Is my this open? Do my underarms smell? Should I change my socks? Whatever it may be, it all boils down to the same thing. We still have the spirit within us. We are still connected to the universe, regardless of what we do out here. But it is our soul's intent and our spiritual intent. In the bottom line, in the bottom, after everything, nothing else matters. How good is your intent? How serious are you about your intent? How serious are you with wanting to be better? And, not some god or a saint or anything, but just a good, true spiritual being. Sort of like our friend Brian, right? He just strove to be the frequency he wished to receive, right? And I'm always talking about, accept and receive the healings, the knowledge, the wisdom, and from the universe, because it is always there. But if we go seek how to find it, well, we're going to go down this rabbit hole here. For example, as a Catholic, you got to go down the Catholic rabbit hole. Well, but that just gets you into religion. It doesn't get you into spiritualism. This dead gum update your PC crap. Anyway, there's something running in the background. So if yesterday the camera was all weird, now I'm sitting under a different light. Go figure. But anyway, to the point though, there are so many people that you can only reach heaven if you go through Jesus. Well, now I agree the Christ consciousness is that's one of the ways. But, if you think you must suffer like him or that you must do like this or something, why don't you just understand that you already have the spirit of the Lord in you? I hate to use that word, the spirit of the source. The great spirit is in us all. We are a part of this universe. Realize that and just study on that, because all the candles you light, all the prayers that you recite aren't going to get you anywhere near it if you don't have it and feel it in here. It's not going to matter. I can go out and beat my drum all day long, but if my heart ain't really in it, if my intent isn't there. Now, do I still do drums? Yes. Do I still do ceremonies? Yes. But they're less frequent, because I realize I'm still connected. I've always been connected. It was my awareness of the connection. Are you aware that you're connected? It's just a general overall. But there are many people who still feel like they got to study something else. Well, I've listened to y'all. I've seen some of y'all discuss and chat. It seems like some of you ain't giving yourselves enough credit. Yes, there are still more things to learn. Don't get me wrong. But there are times when we have no way to grade. Well, how are we doing? Well, I don't know. Well, what's your intent? That's, to me, if we have to grade ourselves, what's your intent? Are you living your intent? So every day, do you have the same intent? Or does things get you pissed off and angered and pulls you away from who you really are and who your spirit really is and your connection to the source? So in that, you might have to say, Lord Jesus, help me out of this one. No, I still do that. And I'll say, Lord, I need help with this. Jesus, help me with this one. I need a little help from my friends, I still do that, but it's less frequent, in that I know I already have the power. Now, what I'm asking for is my back hurts and I'm getting old and a little crotchety at times. And Lord, help me get up off of this, help me achieve what I need to do. But anyway, Creator is always listening. The phone is never off, and it's your connection and your intent. And it's whether or not You have the faith to believe that you already possess some of these things. Does it make us godlike? In a way. If you're talking about, and a lot of people talking about manifesting a better future. Well, if you're trying to manifest a new future, aren't you talking godlike? Aren't you wanting to be God? If you want to manifest a better future, if you want to manifest, isn't that actually being godlike? That's not a criticism, it's an observation. But in that, as we achieve our spiritualness, we can manifest a better tomorrow. Isn't that taking the source? Isn't that using the God spark energy, if you will? And that, but then doesn't that mean that we're trying to be like angels, or aren't we trying to be like God? Just an observation. So, but the thing is though, that sometimes what we wish to manifest is beyond our control, not necessarily our reach, but our control. Now, there are times when I want to manifest something, it's taken years for that manifestation to come true. So sometimes there's faith and patience. But in that, some of these things actually have transpired that I wanted to manifest from in the past. So I keep my faith in that. It's on. It's only the faction of time that irritates me. Well, I want this to happen quicker. Sometimes that's just not possible. And it's out of my control. And I used to think, oh my God, there's no control in this. But sometimes the control is that you say, well, maybe I should just relax a little bit and don't get all upset about it. It will. But I've never lost faith, and I've never lost the will or the desire or whatever. So, but that has it manifested the way I wished for it? No. But in retrospect, at times I realized it wasn't the right time, or the situation has changed. Where it was 20 years ago, it ain't now. So how people thought 20 years ago and how they think now. I mean, 5 years ago, last year, did any of us think we would be in this prison now? No. But anyway, but in the long run of this spirit stuff, the spirit realm is all around us all the time. We're swimming in it. And so, are there negative nasties out there? Yes. But here's the thing that I found. All the protection spells. Now, don't get me wrong. I've got some rocks around here that have been programmed to help keep the energy from, overtaking me, if you will. But at the same time, it's the self-realization. If I'm feeling something weird, I go into self-protect mode. It's like standing on the deck of the Enterprise and shields up. Forward shields. Here we go. I don't know what it is, but there's something out there. So I throw up my shields. I can still see through it and feel. And maybe it's a different energy. Maybe it's something else. Maybe it's not evil per se, but it's a different energy. So, but I'm protected. So my shield, boom, it goes up. And so it's the awareness that there are these presents. So rather than all the time, like, oh, I'm wearing this shield and I got this thing, that means you're paranoid all the time. That means you don't have faith in your own system. That means that you're so afraid that the big bag blue meanies are going to get you that you can't expand your own spiritualness because you're worried about being attacked. Not to say you're not. That's not my point. But if we live in fear of it all the time, that doesn't help us. It's there, so I'm protected. I used to go, all right, come, if you think you guys can don't do that. Don't do that. Oh boy, did I do that. And I got my butt kicked. Hurt. I mean, literally hurt physically, harmed. Don't tempt them. Don't say, well, I got this, but I'll take you. Don't do it. But at the same time, I've also learned to have faith in my own natural spiritual energy. Without having all this other stuff, have faith in yourself. You can do this. You can. Your fears will keep you from it. You know, it's like people who have issues with swimming. "Oh, if I can't touch the bottom," yeah, there's a bottom down there, but you just can't touch it. Anywhere on this planet where there's water, there's a bottom to it. Even in springs, there's a bottom to a spring. It might be a ways down, but there's, you know, so it's not that, you know, oh my God, there's no bottom. Everywhere on this planet, there's a bottom to the water. So it's just, you know, it may take you a while to get there, but you can always push back up. And I taught myself how to not be afraid of the water. And I realized I would just walk out over my head and I would push off the bottom and come up and go, see, it's just water. And I can, you know, now the further out in the lake I went, the deeper it got. But I realized I overcame the fear by walking on the bottom. How about that? And if I could hold my breath and walk on the bottom of the lake and not be afraid of the water over me, if I swam out somewhere and anything happened, I could always go to the bottom and walk back to the shore. I know that's silly, but it kept me from being afraid of the water and drowning and all that kind of happy stuff because I knew the bottom was down there. But so in our spirituality, we must understand that there is no bottom to our spiritualness. It's actually more expansive than we can understand. But let's not get caught up in the small stuff. Let's not get caught up in, well, what about my pineal gland? Well, what about my heart chakra? Well, what about my this or what about my that? It's the whole thing. Understand it is there, and many of those things are true. But if you're going to worry about one particular area or one particular spot, you're going to miss the whole picture, which is more important. How is the whole doing? And do I feel a good flow through my system? Do I feel out of balance? Well, let's put it back. But to worry about it or to focus only on one thing, you're missing the rest of the picture. It's like, for example, some folks with the new HDMI TVs and all that stuff, you see these movies that come in that are like this tall on the screen and there's space. Well, but if you use the zoom control, there's stuff on the sides you don't see because it condenses. So it's sort of trying to give an idea. But so, you know, when you bring your focus in or you zoom in to see, you know, this, what's going on over here on the sides? What's going on? Did somebody walk into the room? You don't see it because you're zoomed in. So, but you have to allow your awareness to see the peripherals. Yes, you can say, well, today I'm going to work on my heart chakra. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you focus, well, my heart chakra, I got to work on that. And I feel a lot of, and so now you're frustrated and you're missing the point. You've created chaos within yourself so you can't even see your own self. You can't see your own spirit. Your spirit is confused because you're trying to focus on one spot. It's the whole self. It's all of it. So just buyer beware. Religions, chakras, you name it. There are a lot of different ways that people can get hung up on these physicality of spiritualness. They're not looking at the spirit. Now, I do believe that many of these things do help and are important. But in the long run, in the really, really long run, my granny knew nothing about chakras. And I know she passed on. She knew nothing about Buddha or Siddhartha. And I saw her pass on. And so she knew a little bit about the Bible and was Christian up to a point because all of us were Catholic around her. But Granny passed. I saw the glow on her before she died. And I know she went to the other side easily. Did she know anything about all the ancient traditions and all of these other things? No, not a clue. but she did know nature. And she did know that the whole self and was important, and how important nature was to everybody, and how what her heart told her to do, which is her heart chakra. So she followed her heart. And now my Granny Null on the other side, she was that witch who went to church every single day and was hated by half of her, well, most of her kids wouldn't even go to her funeral. So it's like, so what, what's up with that? So, but Grandma Raleigh on the other side of the coin wasn't religious at all, but was more spiritual than many of the folks that I've met still. She still had this quality that was just great. But anyway, so that's how I know it ain't got nothing to do with what you know, but it is about your intent and what you feel. And the final moment, that's what's going to count. And I've seen too many people in them final moments, and some of them struggling. And my adopted mother, Bessie, she struggled to the end, and she did not leave this world peacefully. She struggled. She struggled, and it was a horrible sight to see her go. And she lived 10 or 15 years with different cancers and had a bag on her side. I mean, just, and she endured it all, which to her credit, she went through all of that trauma. But in the end, in sitting with her to try to have the conversation, even close to the conversation I had with her mother when Grandma Raleigh passed, there was no comparison. None. There was no spirituality. There was no connection. There was nothing except I'm dying. That's it. That's it. I'm dying. And I'm going to be dead. Nothing. Empty. It was horrible being around Bessie when she died. And I spent days down there at the Moffitt Center when she was in the hospital in Tampa. And a few days later, after I left and she went home, she passed away. And but it did not go well for her. And I think she went to purgatory for the simple fact that she was not prepared for the other side at all. Willingness, her heart, whatever, she was not ready. And having to, and she was Catholic, and they went to church on Sunday and blah, blah, blah. But the long and the short of it, it didn't do her any good. Where her mother was 100 times more spiritual and very rarely went to church or read the Bible or anything like that. So spiritualness has nothing to do with all these other things. And I've known other people who that were just spiritual in that way. They read the Bible. They would open up the book where they just felt a need and read a passage and it gave them something. But the idea that their whole life was around Christianity or the Bible itself. They also read things from Buddha or Zen, the Zen masters, or the old Tai Chi and Confucius, and there's wisdom in all of it. But is any one of them going to get you there? Is the conglomeration of all of it. Now, for me, it has been information from this group and this group and that group and this one and that one, and all of this combined, along with my own learning of the natural, that I realize it's a continuing realization. Look, we don't have to do all this other stuff to good night, Michelle. I see I'm going to be done with this in a minute anyway. I didn't want to be long-winded with this. But Michelle, thank you so much. Danny, Skylark, Gerald, how are you doing? Maverick, if I haven't said hi to you guys. Teresa, as always. Fox. But anyway, remember that we are already spirits. So it's awakening that. And it's not so much an awakening as it is a realization, which is an awakening. But I've got to awaken my chakra. Mm, I got to awaken this. Or I got to go do this to have that happen. Maybe not. It can help. Yes, it can. I'm always looking and searching myself. Not so like going down rabbit holes like I used to, but in that, what do I feel like today? Is there a subject out there that I need to check on? And like today, there was a few things that popped up about, too many people putting um, too much attention on the process of becoming spiritual when the realization is simple. We already are. Okay. We don't have to become it. We already are. We have to learn to understand. Excuse me. I made me and Olga scrambled egg sandwich with cheese and garlic, and I'm burping it now. Too much information, right? TMI. But anyway, understand that you can find spiritualness in a lot of things. Be open to the universe. And it isn't just that, well, it's at night and I'm meditating or whatever, and you open your heart to the universe. No, keep it open all the time. You might be driving along and see something out of the corner of your eye, and it will trigger a something. And maybe it's a bad image, maybe it's a good image. But the thing is that if we're only looking down, if we're only looking this way, we can't see the rest of the world. We can't see what's coming in from the sides. So if we're only concentrated on Christianity or only Buddha or only, we're going to miss out. I know I did, because as a Catholic, I wasn't happy. As a Christian, I wasn't happy. I had to go study Buddha and these other religions and things to get extra information. So it is the combination of the whole. But all it did was help teach me about myself. It is the God within us all. We are God within us all. We are made in the image and likeness. So that means we already are. So that's it. See how simple it actually is? So don't overcomplicate it. Be open to stuff, but don't overcomplicate it and get caught up in the process, because you'll miss out. It'll just go, well, wait a minute, what the hell? And because it might be already be right in front of you. It might be it might be swallowing you whole with energy, but you don't know how to decipher it. Now that part is true. We have these feelings coming in from the universe, and yeah, my ears are still ringing. Not as loud as they were before, but yeah, they still are. But the idea, though, that we just take the information in and allow ourselves to well, what was that? I don't know what. Oh my God, it's something, and we get all frustrated when maybe we should just sit like Siddhartha and the ferryman on the side of the river and contemplate it. Do I need to deal with this in a hurry? Sometimes contemplation will give you all the answers. I know every time I've ever had an issue with an engineering or a machine's busted or something, I would always go to sleep with the idea, now I know there's an answer. I'm going to sleep on it and see what. I'd wake up in the middle of the night and jot something down and go back to sleep. Or wake up in the morning and on my way to work, I would have the answer solved. When the day before, I didn't have a clue as to how I was going to fix it. But sleeping on it and allowing the self to just work out whatever the problems were, and having the faith that it would come to me. There were some times when I'd be walking in the door to punch in and go, oh crap. It just dawned on me. It took me all night, the hour drive to work, and I'm punching in and I go, oh my God, that's the answer. Whatever it was I was working on. Because I stayed open there. I know there's an answer. I know there's a solution. I know there at least a way to find So, but always be looking to help you gain the insight to yourself. It's not anything external. It's all in here. It's all up in here and all in this. But my spiritual guides are yelling at me. Tell them, listen, you already got this. You already are. So it's bringing your own awareness of it. So with that, I would be repeating myself over and over and over again. I'm pretty much assured that I have spoke on this particular topic enough to bore you to death after an hour and 20, well, 10 minutes. But let me check what y'all are doing in the chat here. I do love you all, I do, and I appreciate your hanging out and understanding, and the fact that you want to learn more about your own self. Hey, Al, what you doing? Michelle, you were saying night to Steve. Oh, okay. Well, night, Steve. Lady Spirit, Spitfire. Hey, you made it. As now that I'm done yapping my biggest yap, you all show up. I love you. I do. Al, let's see. You flatter me. Ah, Michelle, she's one of those flatterers. She's all the time trying to do something nice. Project says, how am I going to talk to my higher self? You just open up your mouth and have a conversation and allow the other side to go, well, I don't know. That sounds kind of stupid to me. But, I have multiple voices in my head sometimes. So Teresa says she's here in Bells. Hi, Danny Skylark, if you're still around. I studied myself, says Danny. Yes. But it's, no, I want to, I got to reiterate, studying Buddha and studying Jesus and studying Confucius and reading about them folks and Siddhartha and stuff gave me insight to myself, without a doubt. So, but did the religion or did the book actually help me? The reading, I've read some fiction books I've talked about that gave me insight to myself as well. Personal thoughts and this and that and strife and how to deal with and just stuff. So we can gain insight from all kinds of folks and people and, so David Castle. But in all things, and one of the things that has always amazed me about the simplicity of spirit, it's so simple that it's complicated. What? Well, a flower grows and it's so simple, right? There's, it comes up, there's a little seedling and it pops open and blah, blah. And you think, well, that's just a flower growing. But if you think about the conditions of the soil and whether or not the seed was any good and whether or not there was enough rain and whether or not they got enough sunlight and blah, 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 blah. So it's like, it's a simple thing. You plant a seed and a flower pops up. But there's so much in that. But at the same time, it's pretty simple. It's a seed. It gets watered. It pops up and becomes a whatever, right? So in that you say, well, that's really simple. But it ain't. It's the complication of the universe, the soil conditions, the moisture. You know what I mean? So if the conditions aren't right, then we can't learn. So at times you must go out and like hang out and listen to somebody or read the Bible or read about Confucius or read about this or read about that. I mean, who knows? Read about Muhammad. But the idea, though, that it's that understanding when I look at stuff, I go, what can this teach me? It's not what can I learn from this? Well, I can read some certain things and certain stuff and go, I don't agree with that. I am against that. And it gives me more faith in my own belief that, I don't agree with those. You have to do that to achieve certain things. But I do agree that, our intent and where our heart is and everything. But at the same point, there's so many other things. It's so simple, but it's complicated. So in that simplicity, you have to allow yourself to go, well, I'm just a seed that's growing. So I'm being nurtured by the universe. Well, my granny, she didn't read anything or go to any churches or anything. So she just sprouted and she was just a loving, caring human being. And outside things didn't mess with her in that. She was confident in who she was. Doesn't that go to me? Granny, she made it. She went right to heaven. There was no stopping off for her. And that was back in the early '80s, or was it late '70s? Anyway, no, it was in the '80s because I was living here at the time. So, but anyway, but the idea that in her simple life, she glowed before she died. She literally glowed in my eyes. And I could tell, you know, Bessie, on the other hand, and some other folks that I've known who passed away that I was near, nope, no glowy, no nothing. That, God forbid, I was scared for a couple of people there, and it's like I don't know where they went, but I'm positive Granny went. You know, and all the people I've seen die over the years, and and so forth. I'm sure Granny made it. So with all of the religious stuff and with all of the, well, you got to do this and you have to study that. And if you don't do this, then you're not going to get there. See, now that's our own curse because we have to gauge ourselves spiritually. We have to grade ourselves. Well, did you read Buddha? Namaste. You know my 10 cents on that. People will read Buddha and then all of a sudden everything is namaste, my friend. Now that's a wonderful thing, but I think they just go nuts with it. And they become so involved in the religion of it, they're not really spiritual. It's almost like they're an empty shell. They're so caught up in, well, Buddha teaches this. Well, he teaches it, but are you living it? Are you paying attention? All you're doing is repeating his words. You're not feeling it. I don't see it in you. When I tell the story about Siddhartha, I feel what Siddhartha's feeling, man. I mean, because I've sat on the river, but the idea, though, that it's so simple, it's complicated. But in that complication, it's so simple. Yeah, I know, it's that double-edged sword. It's that quandary of the universe. But the shamans who I've been around are always like, if you think it's complicated, just stop and meditate on it. Just allow that, whatever it is, whatever that complicated thing is that's bothering you, to let it sort itself out. Ask, why is this like that? Or what? Usually the answer is, usually the question is always, why is this like that? Or why do I feel this way about this? Which a lot of times it boils down to. And we must be honest with ourselves in this simplicity, because if you don't ask the simple questions and then be willing to wait for the answer, sometimes they don't just, well, I want an answer right now. Well, tough shit. You ain't getting it right now. You ask the question. Now, maybe it's not right. Things aren't, you're not ready to hear the truth. Maybe you've already seen the truth, but but that ain't it. That can't be it. But I got to reach a higher. My chakras aren't like. What about my pineal? I don't know if I haven't had communion. Maybe all this outside stuff, the programming, if you will. Maybe it's the hologram that they try to create. When they're trying to convince us of other stuff, you just go, I'm a spiritual being. How about you? Well, what do you mean? Well, you're a spiritual being. How you doing? What do you mean? I'm not. I'm a spiritual. What are you talking about? We're all spiritual beings. But you start right there. That's going to really piss a bunch of people off, right? What do you mean I'm spiritual? Well, I don't believe in God. Well, I don't care if you believe in God or not. You're still a spiritual being. Oh, that pisses people off, right? So, but how can you get right to the core? You don't have to discuss religion. You don't have to discuss who's right or wrong, or whether or not this moral thing is good or bad. I mean, for me personally, I don't think nudity is like a sin. It's what you do with the nudity, that you're provocative or that you're rather, I mean, when I grew up in the summertime, we didn't have air conditioner. It was a fan. the whole family sat around in their underwear. Now, if people nowadays thought about that, oh my God, they were a bunch of pedophiles. The whole family sat around in their underwear. We did. Oh my God, to think about that. The family sitting around in their underwear watching TV. Yeah, because it's 95 in the shade, but now, oh my God, you sat around in your underwear. That sounds creepy. But it was just what we did, nobody, it wasn't a big deal. So, and if you're in theater, if you got to do quick costume changes and stuff, you can't, you just got to change, not worry about it, and be done with it. But if you're going to get, oh, what if somebody sees me while I'm changing? Or yeah, okay. So I'm not saying that. Well, I just think the idea of nudity is pushed at us. For example, one of the things that, well, oh my God, when I saw her breast. Okay. Or, I've seen some of these bathing suits and women like, well, I don't want, you're more, my ex-wife wore a bikini. She hated to be naked, but she wore this bikini that was worse than being naked. And I was like, I don't understand this. You can wear this tiny piece of cloth around you and it's okay. But well, oh my God. Anyway, but it's a point of view. Well, all the old statues made the thing. There were nude women and boys and things, and that they didn't have clothes on. It was the human form, whether it was a lithe figure or chubby and who cares? But anyway, it's the society. It's how the people are meant to look at it. The Catholic Church, oh, nudity, cover everything up. Only see your eyes. When we can go overboard with it too. And why I'm on the subject, it's just an example. Spirituality. So different people look at spirituality differently. It's like, well, I don't know, I can't be spiritual, I'll be naked. You know what I mean? So, well, I don't know, but sometimes it's like, if you're spiritual all the time, it's almost like you're walking around naked, you know because you're a free spirit. Not that you are physically naked, but that you're open to, and you're loose with it, and it's like, okie dokie. And you can smell danger coming, especially if you've been around it long enough. But it all boils down to awareness. Well, a lot of it does. Am I aware that there are creepy things out there? Yeah. Don't get in the car with the pedophile. I did as a child and paid the price. Don't do that. Well, it wasn't the guy in the car that did the wrong thing. It was me who got in the car. Aha. There you go. Now that's one, right? So it was my fault. Oh, and I have paid for that one over the years. Trust me. But it was my decision, although he coerced me, and I'm a trusting kid and all this stuff, and end up, oh my God, could have been dead, but that turned out better than it could have. But the idea, though, that it wasn't his I'm the one that made the choice. And there was a little voice in me that said, don't do this. And I ignored it. Even as a 13-year-old, I ignored it. So lots of warning signs come our way and we ignore them. Well, what's wrong with that? You know, here's the good angel over here and here's the devil over here. Go ahead, Dave. It's okay. It'll be fine. And then later on you go, oh my God. Oh, damn. Anyway. But to the point, though, spiritually, we just are. So how do we allow it to come forth? Do we become naked to the universe and allow ourselves to be open so that, other spirits can see us? Now, one of the things that, when our light shines so bright, it attracts other things. But if you're afraid of the dark, which I have been for years and not anymore, but the idea, though, that if I fear what's out there all the time, it's like out on the ocean. Sailors who used to, the giant kraken will come and sink the boat, and if all you can do, you can't enjoy the cruise if you're worried about the boat sinking. You know what I mean? If you can't, Anyway, there's lots of other analogies I could give in that respect, but the idea, though, that the choices that we make spiritually are it boils down to being simple. What is my core value? What is my overall intent? Have I changed my intent over the years? No. Just how I practice it, or how do I utilize it. But my core intent, when I finally just, when I like, okie dokie, that's it. I'm gonna be a medicine man, shaman. I'm gonna be the light. I'm gonna drum. I'm gonna bring forth, good spirits. I'm gonna, okay. So, but when I said absolutely yes, I'm there, and I believe, that was the ticket. If you don't believe, well, I don't know, maybe I believe. Nah, you got to believe 101.1%. You must believe in yourself. You must believe. And if you got doubt, then you're never going to get there, because the doubt's going to keep you from seeing it. It's like, well, can you see to that window over there? I don't know. It's a little dirty. Well, I got a pair of glasses. I can't remember the last time I wiped the lens, but I still use them. And the other day I picked them up and went, God almighty, these glasses are really dirty. But I could see through the grime and the stuff for what I was doing. And I was like, now, how did I do that? A year or two ago, it would have freaked me out. My glasses, I got to clean my glasses. There's a smudge. My vision is blurred. And now I put on these smudgy glasses, and it don't bother me unless I'm trying to do detail work. But I was just fooling around, and I just needed to see the keys a little better or whatever I was doing. But so the point is that I could see right through the dirt and the dust, where a few years ago, it would have drove me nuts. I could not have done what I did without first cleaning my glasses. And now it's like, I don't remember, when's the last time I wiped them? I don't know. It somehow doesn't matter. I can still see. So I can see through the noise. So I could see through the noise before, but I was focusing too much here that I couldn't see through the glasses, if that makes any sense. It's the same sight. Actually, my eyesight actually has improved. I couldn't have read anything a couple of years ago without my glasses, and now I can squint enough to where Maverick says the Emperor is 4, and my life number it would do. So I read that. Don't know what it means, but I'm not keeping up with the chat. Maverick, I'm picking on you. Sorry. But the idea, though, that I 10 years ago, I would have said, nah, my eyesight won't improve. It's just going to get progressively worse. 10 years ago, I said my knee wouldn't improve and I'd never be able to bend it like I do right now. 10 years ago, I wouldn't have believed that I would have been able to do it. 10 years ago, I wouldn't have believed that I could, at almost 68, that I could go on the river and paddle for miles, for hours, and not die of something or get caught. 5 years ago, I wouldn't have believed that I could have done this. 2 years ago, I couldn't have believed that I could have done this. But now, having gone through it and having said, well, you know what? Dadgummit, anything's possible. Well, so now I go on the river. Me and the dog need a trip to the river, by the way. But anyway, but the fact that I limited myself, well, I don't know, I'm too old for this. Well, if you convince yourself, then you are. Well, I don't know if I can do this or not. Well, there is that question. I'm not sure if I can, but I followed up with this. I'm not sure if I can, but I'm going to give it my best shot. If I want to go to the river, then I'm going to do a couple of push-ups every day. I'm going to get my arms back in sync. I'm going to, sit up and down so I can get up and out of the kayak. I mean, 5 years ago, I couldn't get out of a kayak. I had to literally crawl out of it. And now I can stand up and get out like a normal person. But if 3 years ago I'd have said, well, I can't do this, I'll never get better. And now I can. So when we place limitations, when we put a box around ourselves, when we think that heaven is the only place that's there, it's a gated community and a plot, by the way. I want to be out free in the universe. I don't want to go to a gated community in heaven. I don't want to be inside the pearly gates. No, it means I'm going to be locked up forever. Hell no. I want to be able to roam the universe or be able to go where I'm needed. My spirit, myself, my other incarnation. Where am I going to go from here? I don't know. I might have to come back down here. I might go to Pleiades. I might end up on Jupiter. I may, Pluto somewhere. I might end up in another dimension as my spirit goes, where I may be needed or whatever is necessary. But if we think, well, I don't know, I can't do that. Well, I don't know, I'm not good enough. Well, I don't know, I haven't achieved that yet. Well, you've done all these other things. Hey, Truth in Me, Maverick, Al, did I say hi, Al? I meant to. If I didn't, hi, Al. But anyway, so the idea that if we say, well, now, there are times when I say, I still can't walk through a wall yet. And I keep saying, if I become a true shaman, I'll be able to learn how to pass through that wall, right? But in spirit, actually, I can. So so why am I worried about whether or not my physical body can go through it? Don't know. It's just sort of what, you think, that shaman, he was able to like float up on the air and become a bird. That would be cool. But at the same time, I know that my spirit can fly like a bird, that I can be that bird in spirit, and I already am. I am the spirit of the bird. I am the spirit of the bear. I am the spirit of the otter. I am the spirit of the beaver, some of my totems. And so if I keep that spirit in my heart and that's the key, you keep it in your heart. Why am I Hawkeye two feathers? Because I had two feathers. I would always find two feathers. And that's how I got my name, Hawkeye, and the fact that I could find things when nobody else could and spot stuff. So, but anyway, my finding the feathers was because my awareness was open. I would literally go down in the woods and Creator would say, here, walk over here through these bushes. And I've told the story about the deer antler I found. I literally, only this much of this deer antler was sticking out. And it was like, whoa. And then I found the other one, 100 yards downstream in a pile of leaves. And because all I was doing was following what the spirit said over here. And I'd veer off. I'm going, no, it's over here. I could have went that way and I wouldn't have found it. But if I follow my instinct, follow my heart, follow the spirit, if you will, you'd be surprised. So, but that has to do with faith. Do you believe it? Do you believe in enough in yourself? Now, not every time that I have felt this have I found a feather or a something, but there are times when it's been more times than not. And there have been times when I realized that there were times when I wished I would find a feather. I wished, and I was like, see, you're wishing. Maybe there's one over here. Can't do that. Can't. And there have been times when spirit was like, do you think that's me talking to you? You just wishful thinking. There aren't any feathers today, by the way, but you just keep wandering around out here with the ticks and the mosquitoes but we'll stand here and watch you. And I realized, maybe I'm wishing that I would find two feathers. I'm wishing, and so wishing for an outcome. Yeah, I've been there. So you got to be careful. And sometimes you say, well, isn't that the spirit talking? No, it may just be wishful thinking on your own part. But see, that's where the true honesty comes in. Am I wanting this to happen? Am I wishing it to happen? And it ain't really there. And then later on, I go, well, I thought there was a feather back there. And I get almost back to the house. There's this beautiful feather sitting in the middle of the trail. Nanny, nanny, boo, boo. You went down there and looked all around. And I left you one on the way. I came down that trail to go to the woods. There was no feather. But on the way back, there's one there, like a gift from the gods, a gift from the spirit, a gift from the nature. And that's happened quite a few times in that, holy crap, I just can't, well, never mind. And I mean a perfect feather. I mean, it was like they just pulled it out and said, here you go, and laid it on the ground. Really, really, really strange. But anyway, in that you understand that, well, you can't force it. It has to happen. And only through practice and trusting yourself. Now, like I said, there's been many times I've walked through the woods, through the brambles and the stuff, and not found nothing. And went, well, that was fun. Didn't happen to see any particular thing. But at the same time, maybe I was worried so much about getting through the brambles, which hurt, that I missed it. And there have been times where I would backtrack through some really dense crap and go, oh, I did miss it. There's a feather right over there. And I walked right by it, literally, because I was worried about where I was going and not looking off to the sides. So, but that doesn't happen every time either. But you have to practice with your own spirit guide, with your own self. But understand it's there. It's not like something you have to conjure up. It's always there. So it's our awareness of this and the faith that we trust it, the faith that it is. I mean, you got to have faith. And it ain't about a religion. And it ain't about, but it is about have faith that your intent is pure. Did I have to find the feathers when I went walking through the woods? No. But I felt like, wait a minute, I missed something. And sometimes I did. And there have been those times when, nope, sorry, no feathers today. And it'd just be a dry run. And I go, well, that was interesting. And I'd find myself, what? No feathers? No special treats on my walk today? And then it got to the point where, wait a minute, every time I walked in the woods, I was expecting a present. And then for a while, there were no presents at all. And I was like, well, wait a minute. And I would search for them. And I'm like, no feathers, no presents, no this, no that, no turtle shells, no what? And then the day that I just decided to go for a walk without paying any attention to anything, and I was just free with the woods, whoops, there, oh, look, there's a feather. So we can wish for it, we can hope that it happens, we can put forth there's got to be a feather. There's, spirits left me maybe not today. But we have to learn that and learn the discernment. And each one, I mean, I'm still learning this one. I mean, there are times when I went outside the other night, and even though it was slightly cloudy, I seen this streak come across the sky, and I was like, that was weird. And stood out there, and then it got cloudy, and I couldn't see anything. And I was like, okay, for that one moment, I walked outside, and I think it was a test to say, would I really go? I did, and saw that streak and went, boy, that's cool. Too cloudy to really watch the sky, but okie dokie. So, then I could have just went outside but it was like, go outside and look up. Okay. And I did. And I'm not sure, but I'm kind of like, was that one that they shot down kind of thing? Because a lot of times I get a warning to go outside. We're shooting something down if you want to see it. And boy, some of them have been spectacular. Oh man, the explosions and the debris. Holy crap. So, but anyway, you have to learn it on your own. But if you don't have faith that you can, if you don't think that you can, and you've got all these negative things that will keep you from hearing yourself or listening to yourself or being yourself, then you're kind of short, you're giving yourself a wedgie, and there's no sense in that. Life is tough enough, without giving ourselves wedgies. And oh boy, am I guilty of self wedgieing, if that's a word. It's been 2 hours. I lit this cigarette right after the Soul Tribe show, and I put it out. Then I said, nah. and it's been an hour and almost 2 hours now, and I just decided I'd light it. But um, I'm doing better with my smoking. Is the reason I'm saying that. I'm paying more attention, and sometimes I light them, and I'll turn back around and go, I got 2 drags off that cigarette. Oh well, you know. So let me check the chat, and I'm gonna let y'all go. I hope you all have a wonderful Sunday and a good week coming up as best we can. And remember, I mean, I have talked about my time in self-imposed wedgie dumb. Thank you, Michelle. You always come up with some really good ones. And I have not forgotten about the song about the butt cramp boogie kind of thing either. Anyway. No butt cramp o'clock. I knew you was thinking about it. That's why I said that. Great minds think alike. Maverick, what do you know of dream walking? Oh boy. Okay, Maverick. It depends on where you want to go with that. Let me see what else. Truth of me, sometimes we have to be what is your heart, even if it's not popular with others. Oh, I have not been popular for a long time. But yes. And the thing is that, and I've talked about this and sort of yesterday with what the anger thing is. Nobody would pay attention. And now folks are like waking up to some of this stuff that I talked about years ago. But the thing is that all they could hear was me hollering. All they could do is hear well, you got to understand, I'm shaking the cage. And maybe you should just talk normal. Anyway, back to the dream walking. Maverick, having spent 3 days dream walking with spirits in the swamps, and I'm coming up on an anniversary next week of when this dream walking happened, and I've been pulled down to the river to go back down to that area. And for 3 days, I was on the river when the temperature was still 85 degrees at night and it was 102 in the shade during the daytime. It was horrible. And me and my little Sasha dog went down on the river in the canoe. And I slipped in some mud and hit my back, and I couldn't move. I couldn't move the canoe. And there was a lot of got to get out and pull the canoe over this stump and got to do this and got to do that and blah, 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 blah. And how I made it off of the river without having any, I didn't have enough water. Me and the dog made it through. Didn't have any food. We had like a couple of moon pies. It was only supposed to be gone a few hours, and it ended up to be 3 days. So in the dream walking, they took me through some places and taught me some things. Now, while I was, quote, awake, they put me to sleep down there in the swamp, I think as self-preservation to keep me from literally dying. But the dream walking also has happened when I was on doing mushrooms and also just having dreams and walking and being places. So it's like in my years of trying to understand it, they all are very similar, okay? If not the same, but very similar. And I think the dream walking, when I was doing mushrooms and ceremonies and was actively seeking a dream walk versus being down on the river and being, injured and having the dream walk happen without, let's see, how do I put that? I was going to say without my permission, but that's not quite what I mean. Without practice, without trying to dream walk, I went through the dream walk. And so, and there are times when I'm just go to sleep or meditating or whatever, and it seems like my brain is shut off and they take me somewhere else. I am not on this planet. I am somewhere else. And so it's like, but what is reality? That other place in the dream walk or the avatar state, possibly, is so strong that I open my eyes when I go to pee. I open my eyes and I think I'm still there. I mean, it's like seeing two things at the same time. It's like having a clear glass screen that you're watching a movie, and it's like dirty glasses. There are smudges on the glasses, but there's something beyond. So anyway, that's an odd smudge glasses thing, but in a way it's true. So the dream walking, is it self-imposed? Are you meditating to dream walk? Or is it a dream walk that happens? Not necessarily without your knowing or permission, because there's been some times when they've taken me wherever it is I go, and like, what the hell? I didn't want this. You guys didn't warn me I was going to be out for 2 days and off on some magical mystery tour somewhere. It'd be nice for a warning. Yeah, I'd pee beforehand, kind of thing, anyway. But the idea, though, in a shaman's tradition, though, I'm going to boil this back down. In the shaman's tradition, it is the dream walking would be done with intent. Being in two places at one time, yes, absolutely, Maverick. Like when I was down in the swamp in that 3-day ordeal, I could tell I was laying under palmetto bushes in this little hollowed out spot in the dirt with my little dog Sasha, who protected me, my dear little four-legged, who I miss. But I knew that I was safe. I mean, and there's snakes down there. Anything could have happened to me bodily while I was asleep. But I could also see myself walking with a spirit on each side of me, walking through the swamp. So I could see me leaving, but I was still, you talk about it, and I wasn't high, okay? I wasn't on nothing. This was just heat. That's what a heat stroke will do to you. But I don't know. I look back and I still say, with as hot as it was and the least amount of water and no food for 3 days, we should have both been dead, me and the dog. And I'm still here. I still don't get it. It's still a big quandary to me. But in the shaman's tradition, and a lot of times some peyote was taken, or depending, some magic mushrooms. But many times it was just the intent. For example, I mentioned way on, I don't know if you were here at the earlier part of this, but when I was talking about doing ceremonies and doing all these things and, praying and setting the stones and sanctifying. Okay, so you spend a day or 2 or 3 or a week preparing for a special ceremony. So in that time, and if dream walking is part of what your ceremony is, then you are preparing way ahead of time, and you're getting your brain into it. Not necessarily like, what do I want to dream walk for? Why do you want to dream walk? Just to go see what it's like? If you have a specific thing that you want to see, learn, or know, it makes the dream walk better because now you have a focal point. If you just want to go wander the universe, you can do that anytime you want. But to dream walk, which suggests that you want to go somewhere, okay? So in that, having a focal point is best. If you're, doing the ceremony or that is your intent. You wish to walk for what purpose? And, I want to learn about this. I want to learn about that. I've always said, always just pick one. If you make I want to understand the universe, that's too big. Okay. I want to understand about this about the universe, or I want to understand about that about the universe. Pick a subject about the universe not just teach me about the universe. That's a little too broad. And you might come back and go, it was a nice trip, but I didn't learn a damn thing because you weren't specific with your intent. Now, your intent was pure. You wanted to learn, you wanted to walk, you wanted to experience it, but you didn't give yourself the, why am I here? Why am I wanting to do the spirit walk? Now, that's with the intent, you know. But if you're in the dream land and you end up spirit walking, which astral projection, astral projection, the astral world is very similar. But with astral projection, if you wish to project, where do you want to go? Okay. And why? Well, I want to learn this, or I want to see this, or I want to experience it. Okay, that's not a bad thing. But you must pick a destination. So if you pick a focal point, I've taught this years ago in some of my videos about astral projection. You know, if you've never done it, then practice. You know, pick a room, you get up it physically from your bedroom, you say, and you walk out and go into the dining room. And you look around and you say, okay, and you walk back physically, lay back down, close your mind, and then walk there the same way, but in your mind. And you will learn that you can walk there spiritually. But is that a spirit walk? You know what I mean? Is that dream walking, or is that astral projection? Is it the same? You still are part of the spirit world in that. So in that, it's the same. But the idea of a spirit walk is more, should be with intent. I wish to walk the journey to learn about this. I wish to walk the journey about that. I wish to walk, if you just want to astral project, you could end up anywhere at any time. And you wouldn't know whether it's good or bad or, So to just say, well, spirit walking, find out why, what it is you want to do. Do you want to learn how to astral project? Okay, there's ways to do that without, quote, spirit walking, even though they're very close to being related, okay? Very close. But yes, and I do have the butt cramp now. Been sitting for almost 2 hours, 3 hours almost, actually. But with that said, so Maverick, to consciously spirit walk, practice it, have your intent, and see what happens. If you're spirit walking in the dream world, very similar, but it may be that your higher self or the spirit has a journey for you. Now, that's different. So it's sort of like me, go outside, look up. Oh, wow, a streaker. Interesting. Okay, so you got to listen to spirit. Why am I walking? What are they showing me? Where did I go? What was the purpose of what they showed me? Why am I seeing this? The question of why is a big one and runs across the board. Why do I want to dream walk? Why do I want to see things? Why? Be careful what you wish for, because there are things out there that will scare the crap out of you and you'll not want to go back. Or you can actually be attacked because you're not confident enough in who you are. But anyway, long story of that. But the spirit walking thing, many shamans spirit walked. Many, 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 many. Some with the use of some type of hallucinogen. But many of the true shamans, and I'm feeling, well, I hate to say that I'm a true shaman, but I guess in so many ways I am. But see, I don't want to brag. Bragging is like, well, I can do this. Well, there are many things I can do now that I didn't used to do. And there are many things I have overcome that I didn't think So we have to grade ourselves. Where are we on a scale of 1 to 10 in our spirituality? What do we understand? What are we comfortable with? And I can't answer that for you. But I can say that there are many of you who are not giving yourself enough credit, because it may be that you're searching for something that's sitting right next to you, literally sitting right next to you. but you can look off in the distance and not see the forest for the trees. That old adage, right? But anyway, I don't know, Maverick, if that helped you all about it. There are many ways to achieve spirit walking. I go to sleep, there are times when, especially back in the day, I would say, if I spirit walk, or if you want to say namaste, it's okay. Say it, namaste. Somehow I am a shaman as well, though grandma perhaps. You can say namaste. I find nothing wrong with it. I have just known people when that was like every third word out of their mouth was namaste, and that's what I mean. But um, you were making a bit of a joke. It's okay, but I got it. But there are ladies who are shamans as well. There are a lot of times that people think, shamans are only guys. That's not true. I've known several medicine women who were just absolutely astounding. I knew this little old Cherokee lady. She was like 4'4" and just a spitfire, and 80 years old. And oh my God, she was a trip. And anyway, but the spirit walking thing, we've all done a bit of it in our dreams and whatever. It's how we look. You say, well, I had a dream about such and such. Well, what does that mean? And it might be that you say, let me write down a couple of things about this. I remember a pine cone, I remember a something, and I remember this. And don't worry about it, because I used to worry, what does that mean? And I'd spend, well, there's got to be an answer. And it's when I quit looking for the answer that the answer would wash over me. The pine cone, blah, 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 and the thing and that. And I go, I spent 2 weeks meditating, trying to figure out what the hell that was. And when I just said, okay, and let it go, the answer just, boing, here you go. Oh my God. That happens so many, not as frequently as it did, because now I've learned I have this dream and I see this thing, but I might not understand it, but I'm going to remember it. I'm going to remember the incident, and I'm going to try to remember what I was feeling and go, well, let me table that. It may be important, but not now. This dream could, and many times it's foreshadowings of things coming up in the future. And be careful what you wish for. Oh, if I only knew the future. Nah. Nah, you don't. Well, I could prepare. Not necessarily. We need to be prepared at all times spiritually and be strong in what we know. Are there more things that I can learn? I hope so. I hope this ain't the end of my journey in learning and knowledge. But of all the things, that I continue to experience, is that I must allow myself to be open to new ideas. I must allow myself to listen and not try to make, whoa, that it means this. Maybe not. I have to let it settle, let it come in, look at the picture and go, and then allow it and allow spirit to give me the true answer to what it means. And we can look at dreams and go through stuff and blah, blah, blah. And it might be 6 months later, you go, I had this dream back when, and holy crap, this is it. I didn't know. Ooh, there goes Duggar. It may not be the time that the dream information needs to come to you. You know what I mean? Sometimes sometimes you see it and you just got to wait till the right time. And it could be long time, short time, or never time, and it was just a dream. But it may be that you missed what the dream meant too. So lately I've been dreaming of crazy carnival rides. He dreams of prisoner being, what? Crazy carnival rides. He dreams of prisoner being incarcerated Oh, yuck. Yeah, that, well, we are incarcerated right now. We are in a prison of sorts. So, with this, um, truth in me, ego, baby, let go. Is that what you say? We allow judgments as well. Yep. Fox says, I once had a dream where I had enlisted with a group of guys in a library, and an angel showed up when I was in a bathtub, kissed me, and said, become what you are meant to become. And Metatron's voice. Now that would be weird, Metatron's voice, but um, let the horseshoe be your guide. Thank you, Maverick. Um, I used to be superstitious with things too, like if I didn't have my favorite coin or this and that. And I realized that it was holding me back in that I put too much stock in a physical thing. When I didn't have, it's sort of like, one of my favorite shows back in the day was Dumbo the Elephant, because I got such big ears. They called me Dumbo. They didn't know, they had no idea how much it hurt my feelings as a kid. But anyway, so Dumbo, he learned to fly, right? And so the mouse gives him this feather that he plucks off of one of the crows. And he tells Dumbo, it's a magic feather. You can fly with the magic feather, Dumbo. Right? He goes through this thing with the magic feather. And Dumbo opens up his ears and he flies. So then one of the tricks, though, under the big top, he loses the feather. And the mouse is screaming in his ear, Dumbo, you can fly. It's not about the feather. You know what I mean? So I can hear that little mouse's voice in my head. But it is the fact that it's not about the feather. If we had the strength or whatever it is all along, do we have the faith, And it's just a movie about an elephant with big ears. But is it? To me, it always meant, oh my God, it's not about the feather. That feather will help you, but it ain't the feather that gives you the confidence. It's yourself. And, I lost the feather. Oh, no, now I can't do it. Really? So, that another one of them, what's a metaphor? To graze horses in. But anyway, so my friends, I'm going to let you go. I do have a butt cramp. And Fox says my higher chakras were ringing like a bell for some time after that dream. I bet you Metatron's voice woke me out of it, literally fell out of my bed. Yeah, now those are some strange dreams. But to be who you are supposed to be, and if an angel comes along and tells you, and it might be very simple, that you're not being who you want to be or should be, and that the angel is saying, anyway, you didn't try to put him out with a fire extinguisher, right? Let the horse. Michelle says, I mentioned superstitions at the beginning, Hawkeye. Yeah, I'm sure you did, but you know me, if I try to keep up with the chat, I lose my train of thought. So everything that happens to us, now here's the thing I want to put to you. For example, there have been several times, different periods of my life where the spirit fills me. I mean, I'm just filled, and it's like, whoa. But there was this one particular time, I did a video when I came home about it, about being on a lake and being taken up into the universe. And wow, that was so powerful. And I wasn't high or anything, it was just me on the lake in the middle of the night. But there was a filling of my soul, or a feeling of something, and it's that, oh my God, this is what it's like, and can I ever learn any more? Will it? And that rush goes away, but the overall feeling is still there. So it's like I don't feel that initial rush that I felt at the time, of being taken up into the universe and coming back down, but the experience is always there. So that initial feeling, although it has subsided within me, I can kind of pull it back in because of my thought. And I know that the universe is out there. And I know, so it's like, although I don't have that super cool spiritual feeling from that one event still carries with me. So there are times in our life when we might have this spiritual thing, but it's like, a month later you go, wow, I just don't feel the same. Well, life catches up and you got to be other places, you got to do other things. But the thing is if it was so special, then all you got to do is put yourself back into that thought. And that in it. Now, I can bring myself to the feeling, and that it's still not as grand and as powerful as being on the river at that time. But I know that it's never really left me. It's only been clouded, shaded by current events. But I know the river's still there. I know the universe is still there. I know how I felt at the time is still in here, although I don't feel that elation I did then. But the elation is still within me. And I've wondered, well, has it died? Has it gone somewhere? Has it left me entirely? No, it hasn't. That it's still here. It's just that I'm a human being. I'm in a meat sack, and it holds my spirit down at times. And there are things that I need to deal with here, or feed the dog, or other things, and it clouds the experience, but the experience is never gone unless we allow it to leave. So for me, I thought, wow, I don't feel that same elation. And then I meditated on that. It was like, well, dummy, that's because, you get hit with that jolt of lightning, and that jolt it only lasts for that period, but you'll never forget the experience of being hit by lightning. So understand, in your life, there may have been many incidents that were spiritual that you may have forgotten or have been clouded. And so I would submit that you should look back upon your own life at certain times or dreams or events and say, that was special to me. Not really sure why or how, but it was special at the time. And try to bring that memory, because it's in there. Try to bring that memory back up and go, what was so special about that moment? I felt great. I was elated. The spiritual, the thing. I felt the God presence all around me, So why did I forget? You didn't. But those particular moments don't last forever, feeling wise. But the memory is there, and we can recall how we felt. So we're never disconnected. Because I'm learning this myself, you see. It's like, well, wait a minute, I don't feel the same way. But if I go outside and look up at the stars, I get pulled from the memory of when I was on the lake. Does that make sense? So it's there. We have to understand that it never leaves us, really. Other things cloud us and we think it's gone, or you know what I mean? So, but anyway, so my friends, the butt cramp boogie is still coming. Now that I got this new camera and everything, and I'm going to try to, oh, by the way, how is the sound? I'm looking down here at the meter and it looks like it's low. Can y'all hear me okay? Give me a 5x5. Anyway, yeah, sometimes apathy can totally imprison someone if they give up. Yes, Fox. Yes. Trust the universe and love yourself. Absolutely. Thank you, Fox. Maverick says the choice to stay in that funk or to work it out is ours. No one else is responsible. That's absolutely true. Truth of Me says last time this happened, I won huge money a few months later. Well, let's keep that thought positive. Maverick says I might buy a truck tomorrow. Woo-hoo. Good luck. Let's see. Fox says, I hope dearly that justice finds you and holds you close at Ladies Spitfire. Yes, I'm always praying for all y'all. Sound is great. Thank you. It just doesn't show up on the thingy down there at the bottom. But 5x5, thanks. It's great to me. I've got headphones. All right. Lady Spitfire, it'll work out. I'll be fine in the end. Yeah. And Lady Spitfire, you got my phone number. Call me if you need to. Okay. What did the fox say? Foxy went to his old den there with the little ones 8, 9, 10. Said, Daddy, Daddy, gonna go back again before we reach that town, oh, town, oh, town, oh, before we reach the town, oh, dum, da, da, dum, pum, pum. Foxy went to his old den. Yep. Anyway, old song. But my friends, I love you all. I do. And Lady Spitfire, you can call me anytime. I don't care. And if you need to work something out or just whatever. So to wrap this up, and you all have said it pretty much, it is within ourselves. But each time I come across an incident, because it's a new one, even though it may be similar to something else, it's a new experience. Or sometimes if it's a really crappy one, I go, oh no, here we go again with this crap. But at least I can recognize it. If we try to drown everything out and, well, it doesn't really exist, and that, no, we don't have to play to it, but we can notice that it's there. If you know, I'm a friend of mine knows there's a pothole at this particular railroad track. Now, they will hit that pothole at 30 miles an hour every single time and go, that damn pothole, I wish they'd fix it. If you'd swerve a little bit to your right, you'd miss it. But every time, whoa, why don't they fix that? Boom. And I mean, and I would warn them, slow down, there's the pothole. Bam, they'd hit the pothole and bitch about it every time. And I'm like, sometimes they see the pothole, know it's there, and will run into the damn thing just because. I don't know. I don't get it. It doesn't make sense to me. But, it's like, well, pothole, I'm just swerve to the right a little bit and not hit it. And I'm going to slow down because it's the rough railroad tracks. But in life, some people will just hit the same damn, or, it might be a different pothole, but they'll see it and go, oh, poop, and they hit it and then wonder why their front end goes out of a line. Man, Truth in Me says, man, I want to manifest a fire with... I said, Fox said, I hope you are healed and renewed and held in love by the divine. You're welcome. Thanks, Hawkeye. I'm glad to be home tonight to get my heart set back in the right track and know that I know what to do already. Truth in Me, campfire to be specific with marshmallows and tons of laughter. Oh, anytime. I got plenty of places. In fact, I was thinking about doing a fire this weekend. Weekend's almost over. Lady Spitfire says, thank you, chat. Y'all make it better. Michelle, people paint red flags green. There you go. All right, my friends. Let me get out of this cramped situation, and me and the dog need to go outside for the same purpose. I love you all. Thank you so much. And you guys understand, you got more strength in you than you realize. That's, being that 3 days down in the swamp, I should be dead. I should have been dead. I should still be down in the swamp. But there's strength that we have within us that you don't know you got it. But if you give up or you say you can't do it or there's doubt in you, then you just simply might fail. And all you got to do is, you remember that old thing about, the choo-choo train going up the hill? I think I can. I think I can. I think I can. I know I if you say, I think I can, you may just make it. Now, how fast you make it, now that's up to us and sometimes the universe. So don't worry about how long it's going to take you. It's, can you get it done? So I think I can, I think I can, I think I can, I think I can, I know I can, I know I can. I'm going to do this. And the closer you get to the top, you go, I didn't think I could make it, but I did. I made it this far, and I know I can, because the closer you get to the goal. Now, the problem with spirituality is, how do you know when you get there? We don't have a grading system. How do you know when you get there? Are it's like I was talking about yesterday about anger. Some people would say, well, you've reached the highest pinnacle of spirituality when you don't get angry anymore. Bananas. Because there's going to be things out there that's going to piss us off in the other realm too, like nasty beings that want to eat us. No, but at the same time, we don't have to be so angry that we're, what changes who we are and all that. No. So our intent is pure, but it doesn't mean that things can't anger me. But it's how long I keep that anger. It's how long I wish to allow the anger to manifest within me. So when we manifest truth and light, and that's what we manifest, then the anger and all this other stuff, it just becomes less important. So with that, okay, you guys are great. You guys, gals, folkses, members of the League of Like-Minded Being. Gerald says, thank you, Hawkeye, hospitality and keeping us all together, you and that slanted sleuth character. You're welcome, Gerald. Lady Spitfire, degree you doubt is 10 times to the other degree that you can. Thank you, Truth and Me. Maverick, being great here with y'all. Favor, prosperity, and abundance, Soul Tribe. Thank you, Maverick, and to you as well. You got this, we got this, says Fox. And Michelle's giving us banana peels. Truth and Me, thank you. Back to you. Gerald, thank you. And Michelle, thank you. Fox, if I missed anybody, Truth and Me, Gerald, Michelle. Okay. So until next time, my friends, be safe. Always be cautious, but don't be afraid. If you're afraid to cross the street, you'll just stand on the street corner and get splashed with water every time it rains. But we always look, we be cautious and look for the signs. Is there a car coming? We wait till it goes by. Or if it's far enough away, we run like hell. But, life is full of things every single day, every single moment. And to think that we're going to have all of this under control before we die or pass away, nah. But can we reach that point when we know in our heart that we're being truthful and honest and loving? Best we can do. And can we maintain it? That's the best we can do. So trials and tribulations going to hit us every day to try to knock us off the track. I think I can. I think I can. I know I can. I know I can. Whoops, we got this. So until next time, my friends, I love you all I do. Thank you so much, every one of you. And you keep spreading the good stuff because you're a big part of this. I'm here and sponsor this and have the chat and all that. But you guys, I can't spread this on my own, and you're doing it willfully. I've never asked you to hit the like button. I've never asked you to share a video. I've never asked to donate money. I've said, do the best you can and share what you know with other people. And that's from my heart. I don't need anything else. I got it. But prayers are always welcome and good thoughts and vibes. But, I don't expect you to give it to me, even though I know you do. But every day I pray for you folks. So with that said, enough mushy stuff, right? I continue to pray that each and every day, each and every one of you will continue to accept and receive the healing, the knowledge, and the wisdom from the universe. Each and every day, I continue to pray that each and every one of you, your friends, your family, all of your relatives, and all of your relations, past, present, and to come, will learn to accept and receive the healing, the knowledge, and the wisdom of the universe and reject the negative that gets sent to you. And in that law of three, I continue to pray that each and every one of you, your friends, your family, and all of your relations will continue to pray that you will learn to accept and receive and continue to share the knowledge, the healing, and the wisdom of the universe, and that you continue to reject that negativism and things that comes to you in life. Delaney, it's good to see you. Love to you. Truth in Me, Fox, Maverick, Michelle. And if I missed anybody, until next time. So keep it between the ditches, my friends, okay? And from South Georgia, as always, TTFN. Ta-ta for now, and cosmic hugs, everybody. Be the frequency you wish to receive. Adios.